Hello to all of our viewers and welcome to another episode of Calfee Now. Today we are joined by our good friend, Congressman Troy Balderson. Troy, a lifelong Ohioan, grew up in Zanesville, attended school at Muskingum College and The Ohio State University. Then went on to be the third generation of his family to run the auto business before running for and winning his seat in the Ohio House in 2008. He then joined the Ohio Senate in 2011, where he served until winning a special election in 2018 to fill Pat Tiberi's old seat in Ohio's 12th congressional district, and has since served Central Ohio as a member of the House Science and Space and Technology Committee, Committee on Small Business, and currently this Congress serving on the House Committee on Agriculture and Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. Troy, thanks for being with us today. Good to have you.
Great to be here, Nick. Good to see you.
And joining me is Josh Sanders. So Troy, will kick this off. You've represented Central Ohio for many years, both at the state and now congressional level. You've seen the region change through continued growth, development. Everyone and their mom has now heard of the rhetoric around the transformational growth that Intel's investment in Central Ohio is going to bring, but it's in your backyard. Tell us about how your local communities and officials are grasping with the scope of both the infrastructure needs and the opportunity this presents, and how you're helping them work through that.
Well, and sorry, I didn't say before, thanks for having me, Nick and Josh. It's been fun to watch the transition from the announcement in January to where we are today. A group of constituents, local leaders, combined together and actually went out to Chandler, Arizona, and to hear their responses coming back from that, which I'll kind of detail here in just a minute. But the anxiety level was very high when the announcement was first made. There was high excitement, but there was also a nervousness to what could potentially happen in these communities as they're going to be impacted greatly. And, local officials elected, but also members of the community having those conversations, expressing their anxiety, what's going to happen, what's going to be next, what are we going to do, and no one really having a true idea of what it was going to entail and the growth of this and what it's going to mean. So, those first township trustee meetings, those first, local community meetings were full of a lot of questions, and rightfully so. But, here we are, we're almost 4 months past the announcement. As I said, a group got together, and the communities have, more and more each day have come together and, joining together because it's going to take that to do this and to make it successful. So a large group went out to Chandler, Arizona last week. And, as I've talked with them, as they've come back, the deep sigh of relief of not, of the nervousness. They know what they need to do. They know there's going to be more that they're going to need to do. But I think there's a more level of confidence that they have the capability and the needs around the Central Ohio to get this done and do it correctly.
Excellent.
Yeah. And, and thank you for joining. As a constituent, it's very nice to be able to have these kind of conversations with you, and your being around the district has been tremendous in helping that kind of nervousness. People know that they can go to you. And as Nick mentioned, obviously you've represented the area both federal and state level. And I think that gives you a real unique insight on government's role in this development and attracting these. And obviously Ohio took steps to attract Intel. But what are some of the other areas federal government needs to address to ensure that these type of projects are done in the U.S. and not overseas? And then additionally to that, are there other issues that the Ohio Delegation, are working on to ensure that Ohio really does remain competitive in going after these projects?
Josh, I think the biggest thing right now, and that's going through Congress is the CHIPS Act currently, which is what we're dealing with right now. Obviously, the Senate had a version, the House came out with their version. The Senate version was out last year. The House version just came out a couple months ago. So now that has gone to conference, and the conference is meeting. So that process is working through. The goal is amongst that conference is to have this done by end of May, sometime the first part of June. I hope we get there. That's going to be the biggest investment, and make sure that the United States is a major player in the semiconductor realm. I mean, we've lost it. I mean, we're down to 12% of the production now, and 15, 20 years ago, we had almost 40% of the production of the semiconductor. So this CHIPS Act, which is a $52 billion investment in America, and don't look, I don't want people to look at it as, I know the dollar sounds high, but look at it from a national security standpoint, what values it's going to bring to America. And it's important enough that, the EU has even introduced its own CHIPS Act also. They too also started out at 52 billion. Here in the last month, they've gone down to 49 billion. But they're also going after this market. So, the United States needs to step up here and get this done and move forward. From a local standpoint, with the Ohio Delegation, we're all working together. I mean, you have members that are on the Probes Committee, you have members on the T&I Committee, obviously the Energy and Commerce Committee. So those committees are playing a very valuable role. Mr. Shabbat is actually on Foreign Affairs, and he's one of the conferees. So, it's a big play. Our end, personally, the projects that we're looking at is, throughout that Central Ohio area, and just to lay down a map of how we can get this initial movement going right now. And obviously that big piece is infrastructure. So that's big. That's what we're focused on predominantly, along with some other things. And I think the other thing that we need to look at with this whole CHIPS Act, and that money is just not for chips, is the workforce development piece. And it's important. I said it on the stage when we made the announcement, and this is a game changer for kids in this Central Ohio region. And it includes, within a 60 to 80 mile radius. This gives them the opportunity not to have to leave the state of Ohio. They're going to have educational opportunities that are going to grow because the investment Intel is going to make, the state's going to make, and the federal government's going to make, but they can stay here. And for every, you're talking about 3,000 jobs from Intel, but for every Intel job, there's 4 to 6 supplier positions that are going to follow that. So it's a big deal. It's encouraging. It's fun for me. Vocational schools are getting involved. That's something I'm very passionate about. And we'll keep these educators abreast of that and what they need to do moving forward.
That's excellent. Yeah, we're no strangers to the Ohio brain drain, where our higher education institutions, Ohio State, Cincinnati, Case Western Reserve, they're sending their brightest to Silicon Valley or New York and the different coasts. Now we can keep them here in the heartland.
It's important, Nick. And I, again, it's game changing for the kids. And something else that's been kind of lost. And as you're out in the district, as I, go around the district and travel, the major manufacturers that are here now, I mean, the one thing they're saying is that, hey, don't forget about us. We still have workforce issues. We still have, employee issues and getting kids. And, this will put a strain on their workforce piece too, because obviously on a national level, I mean, we don't have enough people to fill jobs right now. And that's a big problem. So, the educational piece, moving from the vocational and the 2-year college to the, as you said, the 4-year college degree and a PhD from one of the major universities in Central Ohio. So we're excited about that. There's, the 2-year programs that are right there in Licking County. You have COTC, you have Zane State. There's just so many opportunities there. So, we're going to be focused on that too, and making sure that those educators, those administrators, those educators are involved. And some of those, I think, went out to Chandler, Arizona too, to speak to, those type of colleges, technical college in 4 years. But then the high school, I mean, this is going to be a big deal to high schools too. So it's exciting.
Transformation all over the place. As you mentioned, this type of development and growth has been happening in Central Ohio, and we're no stranger to innovative transportation projects and entities such as CODA, One Columbus, Smart Columbus, Morpsey. They've all been working on various projects over the last 10 years really to modernize and expand the capacity for the region. Obviously, Intel is going to require even further growth. Your seat on the House Transportation Committee, gives you some insight. What are some of the policies, projects that you're working on that you think really can come back to the district that can help with the wraparound of the growth that's going to be required here?
I don't want to, specifically say anything yet, Nick, just because, we are working on some things. And again, it goes back to more so of the infrastructure piece that we're talking about. And, it's just not roads and bridges, it's water. It's the, the wastewater, the sewer lines. As these communities grow, the housing market, there's just so many things out there, that we can throw into that whole infrastructure piece. But, as I said earlier in the conversation, the main things that we want to really hyper focus on right now is that infrastructure piece. And, we've had the opportunity here. I know where it is, but, more importantly, my legislative director and my friend, Nate Zenfer, has been back. He's been out to the site, and Nate working on those projects along with me. So he has a better understanding. These are literally township roads. They're chip and seal roads. So getting to that. So those are some of the things that we're desperately looking at right now. And I shouldn't say desperately looking at, that's the wrong word. Highlighting maybe that, where we're focused on, but those projects, but this, from the site area, but also surrounding that site area of what it'll be. And I got to throw in there too. The one piece that I really want to get the direction changing and working with the port authorities from other local communities is just make sure that we just don't invest everything from the west to the east, but also bring in the east to the west. Because I think that's a major player of where a lot of the employment's going to be coming from. And, the lack of infrastructure, east of Central Ohio needs some attention too. So we can collaborate and make it all work together. And again, just working with those communities. Nate and I had the opportunity to meet with a mayor from a county that, we'll be representing, and the excitement that he shared. But he also talking about, it was an infrastructure, it was a road issue pertaining to what the Intel piece will be.
Well, we are excited. We're thankful to have your representation out there for many years to come as this project and others move along. And I think we're excited to see your continued collaboration with our locals as well as our federal officials out here to keep Central Ohio growing. So I want to thank you for spending some time with us today and appreciate all that you do and just keep doing it.
Hey, thank you, Nick. Josh, good to see you both. And thank you for what you guys do. And look forward to catching up soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.